Hello YouTube, it's Borders Dude and I'm back with a video review, and today I'm going to be taking a look at the Transformers Legacy Evolution Deluxe Class Beachcomber. Is he a good figure? Should you invest in him above your Power of the Primes Beachcomber? Let's take a look and find out. Alright, we're going to start with Beachcomber's alt mode, his Dune Buggy alt mode, and I really do like it, although it is very plain. There's very little paint being applied to this alt mode, which is a shame. The paint you do get is very limited, such as this little silver bit on the front of his bonnet. It has a nice shiny metallic feel to it. I think they were almost trying to go for a dry brush effect. At the front there you can see that the headlamps haven't been painted, which is a bit of a shame. What I do like though is how they've used the weapon as the front grille of the alt mode. The only thing that lets it down is that unsightly grey gun handle there. In the promo shots you see that gun handle painted. If they could have painted that for us out in hand, in the flesh if you will, I think that would have made a difference to the alt mode. I suppose a black Sharpie would suffice and do the job, or a black paint pen to cover it up and make it a bit more complete looking in terms of the front grille. One thing again I think they do really well now, and they're getting better at, is putting the pins in the wheels instead of those unsightly pegs, and it does make the difference. There is some detail going on in the alt mode. You've got the little grille panels there. Just I guess that would be footwells. Unfortunately the screws sticking out do make it a bit unsightly. You've got some lovely engine detail going on there at the back, and we do have the passenger seats there, which is a nice touch for this figure. They didn't have to do that, but they added it in, so it was dead clever. And at the back you can see there some more detail, but again not painting the headlights or the rear lights, I should say. Easy for me to say. Is a bit of a shame, a bit of a missed opportunity for a deluxe class figure. It seems to be the curse with Beachcomber figures, in particular in their alt mode, that a lot of paint detail just isn't applied to them. And every Beachcomber figure I have seen anyway, even the third party figures just seem to lack a bit of paint on the figure itself. I've brought in Ultra Magnus for the scale check. So here is little Beachcomber against Ultra Magnus. Let's just bring that down a bit. There we are, looking there. Scale seems fairly reasonable, I'd say. If we then bring in one of his Minibot cohorts, do they scale? Does a Dune Buggy scale with I guess, a sports car? I don't know, but again, these are the Minibots that I'm comparing them against. However, one Minibot that doesn't really scale well because of what the type of alt mode the Minibot is Warpath. And yeah, that's just the scale in general for this guy. He's completely off. Let's bring in Power of the Primes Beachcomber. In terms of length, he's not that far behind the Deluxe Beachcomber, but the Deluxe Beachcomber does obviously look bigger, and you can see my poor Power of the Primes Beachcomber is suffering from a bit of yellowing on his grey bars, which is a shame, but I still do like him. And it's time to take a look at Beachcomber in his robot mode. Now, first of all, the transformation to get him from alt to robot mode is very similar to the Power of the Primes Beachcomber, so if you've handled that figure, you'll be able to transform this figure, no issues, Hard Panther style. One thing I do really love about what they've done with Beachcomber is that Autobot insignia right in the middle of his chest, and the silver accents that you get on each side. It really pops that red Autobot logo. And these little blue and red shapes there with the yellow surrounding them is just a really neat touch to break up the greyness of the mould itself. Again, the majority of the colour on this figure is just through the plastic. There's not very much paint apps going on, but that doesn't deter it from looking a lot better in his robot mode than he did in his alt mode. And that face sculpt, the iconic Beachcomber face sculpt, it's a bit of a strange one. Let's bring it in a bit closer. He doesn't really have a really groovy smirk on him like you would expect. You can see something there, but it doesn't come out that well on camera. Looking close, it's a very stoic looking face sculpt for Beachcomber, which is very strange given the character's nature and lineage. Now let's take a look at Beachcomber's articulation. The head is on a joint, so you do get a swivel. The arm can only go up so far because of the tyre that is in the way, but you can get a full 360 motion there. And you do get a bicep swivel that will do full 360, a single bend at the elbow, and you also do get a wrist swivel, providing you can use the gun to move the wrist. There is a waist swivel, but no ab crunch, as you wouldn't really expect one in a figure this scale, or any Transformer figure to be honest. The leg can go fully back, can come fully forward, and fully out. You do get a nice bend at the knee, but it is hampered somewhat by the back panels there on the leg. So you don't get the full bend you would unless you remove the panels. And you do get a bit of articulation there as well in the ankle, which is definitely more than enough for some brilliant figure photography poses. So how does Beachcomber scale in his robot mode? So I think it's only fair that we use other Minibot figures that have been given the deluxe treatment as a scale factor here. So if we take a look at Huffer, he scales fairly nice with Huffer, and let's take a look at the rather wonderful figure that is Cosmos, who is a little bit smaller than him, but we expect that because Cosmos is a bit of a dumpy chap. I think it really does scale well with the new Minibot upscale. Let's take a look at Beachcomber's accessories. Now, he only comes with two. We've already seen one, and that is this little blaster here, which is quite hard to pick up because it's that shiny plastic which makes the black paint even shinier. But it's really nicely done, and I do love its other function to serve as the front of the alt mode grille, which is very cool. And the last accessory you get with Beachcomber is going to be really hard to try and focus on, but we'll give it a bash. It is the little parakeet or little parrot. Not much detail going on in it for something this size, but what do you expect? And it does the coolest thing there. If you take this little port on top of Beachcomber, and you can just pop them on there, and there we are. Beachcomber has his little friendly pal from the jungle, from the Golden Lagoon. A nice nod and a nice throwback to that episode. My final thoughts on Generations Legacy Evolution Beachcomber. First of all, do I recommend him? Absolutely, I recommend this figure. It's a nice upgrade from the Power of the Primes Beachcomber. If you have been collecting other Minibots that have been upscaled to the deluxe size, then he is definitely paramount in your Generations collection. Again, as I've mentioned already, the thing that seems to follow Beachcomber, no matter whether it's official or third party, is lack of paint in the alt mode, and indeed in some cases the robot mode. I think he could have done with just a bit more paint on parts of his alt mode, such as the headlamps and the rear lights, and maybe a little bit more detail going on in some sections of the robot mode, just to make it pop a bit more than it does. But in terms of how he looks, he definitely does look like Beachcomber. The articulation is great on this figure. The joints on my figure are definitely nice and stiff, which is what you want when it comes to figure photography. And the way the gun works in terms of storage on the alt mode is very clever, and I wish they would do this more with Transformers in terms of how they do the weapon storage. And just as a novelty, a nice bit of fun, a nice bit of throwback, getting the little parakeet figure that can sit atop on Beachcomber or also in his alt mode as well is just a nice touch and rounds off the package nicely. Again, to summarise, definitely a figure that I would recommend you buy, especially if you are a Chug collector. Thank you so much for watching this video on Beachcomber, and I will see you again soon with another video.